think you blame for those kind of events or those kind of situations, right? Because you would want to blame Jake for selling drugs, but who put Jake on for selling drugs, or who put Jake on from killing each other? Yeah, we understand Yahweh Shem Yahshua controls all things, but who's Yahweh Shem Yahshua's pawn? Who does the Most High use? He used Esau, Edom, man. Right? So like always, Lord, one this lesson's edifying. We're gonna get straight to it. Bubba Kushah, could you bring out the book of 2 Thessalonians, the 3rd chapter? No, Slaki, it's the 2nd chapter. 2 verse 3, when it talks about the son of sin, the man of sin being revealed, right? So that's what we blaming. I'm gonna go ahead and bring out the word suspect in the etymology, right? Go ahead.
This book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means,
Right.
for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first.
And that already happened, right? It happened in during 68 to 73, 72 AD. Right, so that already happened after Roman persecution. During the Roman persecution. Oh, hey, but there's no new thing under the sun, because now you're seeing it falling away again here, right? So it just shows you how much closer we are towards the end. Towards the end of what? Towards the end of this rulership, which is what we're prophesying about. Ultimately, when we come out of prophesy, we're prophesying against America, because that's a biblical stance that we take, because that's what the prophets of old did. Before a kingdom actually failed or falls, what happens is that the Most High sends prophets to prophesy against that kingdom. So that's what you're seeing here today, right? And what are we doing? We're giving you warning from Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Even if the face of evil is Esau, Edom, is still the Most High doing it, right? Go ahead.
And that man of sin be revealed.
Right. Go ahead.
The son of perdition.
Yeah, the son of destruction, man. Right. So take a wild guess who's polluting the earth, polluting the air, polluting the water. Right, polluting your kids when they go to school, polluting the education, polluting the health system, right? Even if you want to, make all the right moves by working on your diet, right? By abstaining from certain type of meats, right? Or just going on a veggie diet, it's still far from what it used to be, because of what Esau Edom got his hands on, everything really. Esau Edom is harboring what the true seeds. Of these plants of vegetation, because he don't want you to be healed. He wants you to rely on him, right? Which is the health system. So he could he used that whole setup is used as a like a drug deal, drug business, right? A drug deal is not successful if you're only buying off from one time. He wants you to consistently come back, right? And again, the usual suspect. You're not going to be able to blame anybody else for what Esau Edom is doing, man. That's why Bubba Kushah bring out Job.
Yeah.
No, right?
No.
Yeah, I got that thing too.
Let's go ahead and bring that out when we come back to this.
This book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24.
Right.
And it reads, the earth is given unto the hands of the wicked.
Right, meaning that the wicked is gonna be in control. Right, they got the ability to bust all the moves that they gonna be busting. Right, don't get it wrong. This is all allowed by Yahweh Shem Yahshua for the moment, until the elect get sealed and what the transition happens.
Yeah.
Right.
That's obviously what it is. Who owns all these banks?
Mm-hmm.
And whose face is on the Federal Reserve note, the dollar. You don't see Jacob on it. You see none but straight Edomites on it, man.
Right.
So it's clear today. It's clear as day who's running this damn earth, man. Who controls the money?
Yeah, come on. Right, and the international language.
Yeah.
Right, it's English. And what is that? The Edomites, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Come on, Slaki, bear with us, Slaki. We're gonna go ahead and get into.
I got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one.
But let's go ahead and bring out Job 9 again.
The doors are closing. Please stand clear of the doors.
I can hold it too if you want. We can take turns with it. Are you good? All right. Yeah, from the top, please.
This book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24 says, the earth is given unto the hands of the wicked.
Right.
He covers the faces of the judges, whereof, if it not, where and who is he?
Right, so the scriptures is identifying the wicked to be a nation, or men that's going to cover the faces of the judges.
The next station is El Cerrito Plaza.
And we saying that the ultimate judge is no higher judge above Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So even when you look at the image of who you call God and who you call Christ, the image that they portray them to be is what? Edomites. So again, the world is ran by the wicked will be the Edomites. They gotta be. Who's the Edomites? The so-called white men, right? Because those are the images that you see. And as it says in the end, the inner part of that scripture, if not, where and who is it? So if you don't identify to be the wicked to be the so-called white man, you got to let us know who could it possibly be, right? And then you can go down the list of the process of elimination, but it's all going to reserve. It's all going to be pushed back into to the so-called white man. It's an undeniable fact, right?
The Malachi 1:4.
1:4. Con, you got to go ahead and go back to Second Thessalonians.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4, it says, "Whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and rebuild in desolate places."
That's right, because you saw that happen before too. During the Renaissance, right?
Yeah.
Going into the rebirth, they built back, and the Most High gave them 1,000 years to reign, right? And even before that, they failed, right?
Yeah.
That's why they called themselves Caucasians, because they came out with they believe to be the Caucasus Mountains, but we know that they came out from the mountain of this is the book of Genesis, the 36th chapter. Mount Seir. There you go. Not the Caucasus Mountains. I was gonna say Sinai, but that would have been off. It's Mount Seir. Because they both start with an S. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But we know that these individuals came out from the mountains of Mount Seir, right? Because that's what identifies the Edomites. So they weren't doing bad, and they did fulfill this, so they will say it. But there's no new thing under the sun. The Most High brought them down before. He's going to bring them down again. But this time it's going to be, they're going to be put in a position where they can't build back up.
Right.
Because once we get our new body, we're going to be undefeated. We're not going to be conquered no more. Right? Because starting with Yahweh Shai and the elect on down, it's likely the 144 on down. Well, there is orders, Yahweh Shai, King David, the 12, and the 144. But, they're never going to be conquered, man. Period.
Now boarding at
Right?
El Cerrito Plaza. This is a red line train to
I was gonna say Esau really was only used to be a whipping stick to the nation of Israel.
The doors
After we already overcome the world, new bodies. There's no reason for Esau to whoop us anymore. We're gonna be back in our rightful body. Serving Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Keeping the law, statutes, commandments to the best, not the best, 100%. So there'll be no more use for Esau Edom. His use is pretty much done. Right. So now you can get rid of that man. His only use was to afflict the nation of Israel.
Well, it's just saying it's not even going to be able to tamper with the anymore.
Right.
Right now, it's saying it's going to be used to get on these other
The
nations.
next station is
right, just like how you be, in your mind doing all evil to be able to penetrate your mind anymore. Right? You got it. Finish that off and then we'll go back to it.
It says, they shall build, but I will throw down.
Psalms 58.
They shall fall down the borders of wickedness.
That's right, they shall build, but I'm going to throw down. So this is what the Most High God set up for the Edomites. It's going to appear that they're going to make their nation great again, which is not going to happen. It's going to appear that way, but as the scriptures say, while they eating, right, that he's gonna disappoint them, right? So even though it looked like they're prospering, the end game for these nations will ultimately primarily the Edomites, because that's the Most High's number one. Is first on his hit list. They're gonna be thrown down. It's gonna appear like they're proceeding or they're gonna prosper in their agenda, but it's not gonna go down like that.
Yeah, the Most
High got prophecies. He has a council which nobody's gonna be able to interfere with.
Exactly. And the Most High made it to where Esau can only go so far. There's only a certain limit that Esau can reach before eventually, like the brother always say, got to give up the sticks. He ain't gonna be able to fulfill his full enterprise. His full motive.
I got what y'all talking about. The book of Job, chapter 5, verse 12. It says, "He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise."
Right, and their enterprise ultimately is that new world order.
Right.
The MOTV. Because the only way they're gonna have the new world order to have everybody be in one consent is gonna have to be done in the way of the mark of the beast. Revelations 13 verse 16. And for those that's not aware, we stand on the grounds that the mark of the beast is the R5D church. Right, that's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only thing that holds weight, and that's the only thing that lines up with biblical prophecy. digital currency by sliding your card, but now instead of it being a card, it's going to be in your right hand or your forehead, which you see trial runs like that, and there are actually people that's actually doing that right now in certain countries.
Yeah.
But prophecy is it's going to be mandated, so that's going to come in the near future. Right? We got it.
God. It says, and they shall call them the border of wickedness,
Right.
and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh have indignation forever.
So these are individuals that the Most High, this nation is who the Most High is going to have
Now
indignation
boarding at
forever.
North Berkeley.
The highlighted
This
in
is
that
a red
scripture is
line
that
train
they are
to
the border of
Millbrae.
wickedness. So Esau, Edom is the man of sin. Esau, Edom is the wicked. For those that don't understand yet, it's the so-called white man. And again, it's the usual suspect. When you see turmoil
The
or
doors
things
are
that's
closing.
people that's
Please
upset
stand clear
or
of the
unfair
doors.
treatment or unfair doings, who's really the face of it? The Edomites. Right? Period. You know? It's the usual suspect, right? You want it, you look like you got something.
In Psalms 17 and starting at verse 13. Arise, O Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, disappoint him,
Right.
cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword.
That's right. The sword of Yahweh Hashem Shai is Esau, Edom. You can read that in the book of
The next
Isaiah,
station
10th
is
chapter.
downtown Berkeley.
10 and verse 5, when it goes into Assyria, which we understand is modern day Assyrians, is these Edomites. Right here in America, right, is the rod of his anger, meaning, when it's time to punish Jake, he uses the Edomites to fulfill that act. Right? So that's why I said disappoint him, deliver me from the wicked, which is thy sword. Again, the sword ironically, Esau Edom's blessing is the sword, so it goes hand in hand.
Next verse.
No, that was unless you want to bring it up, but that was really the main point on that.
The scripture.
Go ahead, if you want to bring it up.
This verse 14, from men which are thy hand, O Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life.
That's right. So pretty much who's the world given to at the moment? Right? They got their hand in everything. Matter of fact, could you bring out Psalms 58 now and just back that up and we'll go back to Thessalonians? Let's start at verse 2.
Book of Psalm 58 and verse 2.
Arriving at
Yeah, in heart ye work
downtown
wickedness,
Berkeley.
Right.
yet ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth.
Yeah, you weigh the balance of your hands in the earth. So when there's violence committed or death, because what it said, the thief coming down but to steal, kill, and destroy, that's Esau, Edom written all over it. So he is the thief, he is the wicked. Right? He weighed the balance of his hands in the earth. Right? When again people get in unfair treatment, not
Now
be fair
boarding
share.
at
That's
downtown
Esau,
Berkeley.
Edom written all
This
over
is
it.
a red line train to
Go ahead.
Millbrae.
It's verse.
But hey, the beginning part of it said in heart you work wickedness.
Right.
And that's all he ever thinks about. You
The
can go in that
doors
in the
are
book of Micah,
closing.
the second chapter, the
Please
first verse.
stand clear of the
And I
doors.
believe it was at Proverbs 9 or Psalms 9 when it goes into he can't sleep.
Yeah.
So I can say so.
I was agreeing with what you were
He can't
saying.
sleep unless he commit somebody to fall.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Read it again. Yeah, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb.
Hey, the wicked are different from the wicked, right? These individuals was created to be different, right? That's why, meaning that it's in their DNA to go off. That's why the scriptures say that
The
he that's
next
accustomed to
station
do
is Ashby.
wickedness. Well, could you bring that up? Because I was at Jeremiah 13 and 23. Right? It says, could a leopard change his spots or Ethiopian his skin? And could he do good, which is accustomed to do wicked? So when you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, it goes into consider the works of the Most High, who could make that straight which he created to be wicked. So Esau, Edom is in his DNA to go off, or is in his DNA to be that violent individual. Right? Even in the book of Micah 2, we reference it, but in the second verse, he said that he coveted whole houses, he steal inheritance. Right? And when you go to the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, verse 5, it goes into he's not satisfied with blood, he is as death. Right? So when we're talking about violence in the world or people getting, that unfair share, that's Esau, Edom written all over. Again, the usual suspect. Bouncing back into the first scripture that you brought out, right? The man of sin being revealed. Right? It's not a big mystery, it's not a big secret on anyone. Those that don't want to receive this because they don't want to. Right?
Arriving at Ashby.
13,
This
verse,
is that. This
yeah,
is
it
that.
says, verse 23. It says, can an Ethiopian change his skin, or the leper his spots?
Right.
Then may ye also do good. They are accustomed to do evil, custom to do evil,
Which are accustomed to do evil, right? So meaning that you can't expect that from an individual that was created to be the wicked. Could you bring that out of the book of Proverbs? Could you bring out Proverbs 16?
Now
please?
boarding at Ashby.
Proverbs 16.
This is a red line train to Millbrae.
Book of Proverbs 16, verse 4. It says, the Lord Yahweh hath made all things for himself.
Right.
Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil.
Yeah, even the wicked was created by the Lord. So the Most High made a certain nation to be the wicked, and we brought it out, right? Job.
The
we brought it
doors
out in the
are
book
closing.
Of, Malachi.
Please stand clear
Right?
of the
So
doors.
the Most High created the wicked. So Esau, ultimately, Edom ain't doing wrong by doing the things that he's doing because that's his lot. That's his
He's
role in
created to
life.
do, yeah. He's programmed to be wicked.
Exactly, and you can read that in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, where it goes into 12 and 13, where in the last days you will be back in your own lot. Esau, can't help it but to be the devil, man. Even certain things that he created, not only the MOTV, but but they made the Space Force. The image of the Space Force is the image of the dragon.
The next station
When
is
you go into
MacArthur.
Revelation, the 12th chapter, it says that the dragon shall go against Michael and the angels, but he shall not prevail. Right? So, hey man, this is all, we're living,
Come on, Daniel.
no, I'm talking about Revelation 12. Yeah, Revelation 12. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
his
I think-
angels should go against his.
But in Daniel it says that Michael the archangel shall step into
Right,
us
right, yeah.
because of the time of tribulation, ultimately meaning Jacob's trouble. Most High is going to send us the chief angel of war because of how hectic and bad it's going to be. Right? Again, you got to have the spiritual eye. You got to be spiritual to believe in these things because some of it is going to be, even though the evidence is there, some of it is like, man, this seems way off. But again, the Most High only deals with those that have faith. That's why you go to the book of Hebrews, which we reference all the time. Hebrews 11 and 6, it's impossible to please the Most High without faith. Right? If you don't believe.
Well, these mysteries wasn't given to everybody. It's the reason why they might look at it with a foreign look, because it's not for everybody. It's only meant for his servants, the prophets, to receive and understand this type of the proper breakdown of the Bible. The majority of the world, they can't see this, so they're going to hate it. They're going to have some type of weird look at it, according to our doctrine, because it's not for them to receive it, man.
That's why the scriptures say, without the vision, people perish.
Yeah.
That vision is ultimately that understanding, right? It gave you, because sometimes you have a dream, but if you don't understand it, you just brush over it. But hey, the understanding of this truth, without it, bro, you're gonna die because you're gonna take matters to your own hands. You're gonna be doing things that's not expedient. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna find yourself out there when it's time of Jacob's trouble. You're gonna find yourself out there with some kind of gun or some kind of machete, because it's gonna be there's gonna be violent times, bro. As the scriptures say, never has it been since the world began. You can only imagine how savage people is today. Imagine that times 1,000. Times a
Arriving
million.
at MacArthur.
Everybody's gonna be on that survival mode off of themselves.
Free for all.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you play the game, like you don't know, you don't have a chance, you don't have insurance of life when it's a free for all. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, if you're in any direction, could take you out, man. Except with the elect, they got insurance of salvation, they got assurance of protection. Why we have Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, we got the Lord on our side.
Right.
So we have expectation, we have hope of protection in evil time while everybody else is fucking going crazy, killing each other, man.
Now boarding at
And you see that in these movies. Don't think these movies
This
are
is
just
a red
created
line
just to
train
entertain
to
you.
Millbrae.
Hey, the scriptures say, thou art wiser than Daniel, and he said that he commended the wise stewards because the children of this world is wiser than the children of the light. And that's referring to Esau. Esau, Edom knows what's up. Well, shit, the scriptures talking about he knoweth the name. The devil knoweth the name, and he trembles, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the movies that he created is based off scriptures, prophecy. He's saying, "Fuck it, I might as well benefit. Right, I might as well benefit off the scriptures." While he's on top.
Yeah, he still has some type of belief, but
The
he just know that
doors are
prophecy is
closing.
against him, though.
Please stand
He believes,
clear
he
of
know
the
the Most High
doors.
real, but he also understands that basically it's against him, though. The prophecy that's getting ready to come to pass is against his way.
Well,
So he's trying to stop that from happening, but you can't stop prophecy.
Exactly. He's only doing best of what an opponent could do. Is prolong that time.
Yeah,
like
slow
somebody,
it down, yeah.
Like somebody that got the title, but he knows somebody's coming up that he can't beat.
Yeah.
So he's gonna bring him to the ringer, have him fight this dude, so that way he could keep the title as long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what Esau Edom is doing, man. right? He's trying to keep that. He's trying to keep that trophy or that title as long as he can because he understands that he's on the way out.
The next station is
That's why I said
19th
Revelation 12
Street,
verse 12
Oakland.
because he got a short time, so he's starting to go. He's starting to push out shit that at a high level now. But now he's getting sloppy with it. When he goes so fast, he start getting sloppy. He start forgetting shit. He start doing shit all messy. That's how Esau is right now. Yeah, he's pushing shit, but it's not at its best rate.
So it says enterprise is carried headlong. Headlong is like rushed. You do things like the brother was saying. Rush and start getting sloppy.
I remember it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 12, it says that because iniquity shall abound, though many shall wax cold, and that cold can go psycho. I mean, they're gonna be these people. A lot of people are gonna be unstable and be aggressive about it. Like your brother's there's gonna be a lot of evil that's about to rampant on the earth, especially here in Babylon. So the love of men is gonna wax cold, the psycho. That a lot of people are going to be unstable and be more aggressive. And it's going to saying that how your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend is a psycho dude or psycho girl, you know what I mean?
Shit, what's the name? You see how people react over toilet paper?
Yeah.
Right, you saw how people react over eggs?
Yeah.
Right, imagine them having nothing to eat at all.
Right.
Nothing at all, so imagine how they really gonna act. They already being lunatic over some fucking Popeye sandwich.
Yeah.
Right? Jumping over, people killing over sauce, 20-cent sauce because they didn't have it.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine how people's really going to be acting in those days where nobody's really going to be going to jail because, the cops is not going to be in a position to really do anything. It'll just be too much to handle. It'll be too much to control. So imagine how people's really going to have. They're going to show their true colors.
Shit, the people can't even go without social media for a couple of hours, or let alone a day. We're talking about social media. There was a long time ago an article where a kid, he had to off himself because he couldn't play Fortnite. There was they had a social media outlets with Facebook, Instagram, something like that. People were fucking losing their mind over that shit. So people losing their mind over that. Just imagine the food, which is something that you actually need, that's essential to to your life.
For sure. Just the other day they had a blackout on the city bank. People couldn't access their money. What we had passed around the article was in last year, the year before, where
now boarding at
it was burned down
19th
banks.
Street, Oakland.
Right.
This is a red line train
obviously
to
it's in another country
Millbrae.
because they ain't doing that over here in America because everybody's sedated off, whatever.
Right.
But in that other country they burned down the bank because they couldn't access their money.
Right.
So it's gonna come in the near future, man.
Right.
It's looking like it could be sooner than you could believe.
Yeah.
The doors are
Then you got this,
closing. Please stand clear of the doors.
turf wars, and then you got a lot of men doing videos in LA docks. It's getting emptier and emptier, and so ain't gonna be no products coming in your local stores, and it's gonna be a lot of people getting laid off because they ain't doing no work. So a lot of people going back to coal. Psycho now, man.
Shit, majority of the products you get is from China.
Right.
Shit, your phones, all the technology inside your phone, that's made by China.
The
So you ain't finna get no new
is
iPhone
12th
20,
Street,
whatever the
Oakland
latest
City
version is,
Center.
25, 26,
Yeah.
new Android. It's gonna be stuck at the version of whatever you got. You ain't gonna get your
12th Street,
import you
Oakland
get from the
City
store
Center.
that's made by China, whatever you value. You're not gonna get that stuff no more, man. Things gonna be at a halt. They're gonna be able to get your one. They said the Xbox, what is it? Xbox and PS4 or PS5. The price is gonna go up on that because it's China.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, you said a kid murdered his parents because he can't get his console.
Now boarding at
Yeah.
So
12th
imagine
Street, Oakland City Center.
They try to tell
This
kids
is a
like,
red line
birthdays
train
come
to
around, things like
Millbrae.
that we can't get things. We can't get things because they're not coming in from China.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Wii U or Wii U 2 or something like that. Wii 2, something like that. They can't get it because it's not in stock.
Yeah, they said the prices are going up on them. I'm pretty sure because they're gonna have much more in stock. China ain't going ain't shipping that shit out here no more.
That's it. So that's going to be it's going to be like your brother said. That's going to be evil all over around the world, especially in the United States.
So it's gonna be a lack of a lot of things here. It's gonna be a famine, not just the food, but just materialism as well.
Yeah.
Well, going back into the topic, it says the usual suspect. Who do you blame for that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You blame them when it's on top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's calling the shots.
The doors are closing. Please stand clear of the
doing justice
doors.
by doing that, but ultimately he's making the place worse because people don't know how to react towards that kind of pressure, man. And that's the thing about it, that kind of move it works, right? But it works later down the road. And right now, and you know, everybody's so accustomed to everything being done immediately, right? They want progress, or they want results now. Just like food, why I think fast food became a business. You know, because you know it's convenient, it's quick. So because you know people are
The
suffering now.
next station is West
you know,
Oakland.
it's not gonna last long. This, you know, people content or not saying nothing. It's not gonna last very long. People gonna start, you know, showing up and showing out.
You know, if you let that fast life begin, what you want to take? You want to take that chip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You want food right then and now. You want to supply what Esau eat them and take that market. You know, the market of beast, man. Which the RFID chips. You know, you want to eat now, take the chip.
Yeah.
You know, people cause like people don't have that skill of cooking or waiting for food to get done, or especially food now. This shit is it's inflation. Shit is expensive.
Well, one of the most important things, people don't have faith.
Yeah, that too.
You know, that's really where it boils down to. You know, even when it was they was giving out the jabs, that was filling up these jab centers and going to church. You know, even to go to church, you would have to take a jab. You know, so it's like, you know, they didn't trust in the Most High could provide, and you know, things would get better. You know,
And that was a test run.
that was a test run. It's going to be bigger than that. So you know, Esau Edom already knows who's an idiot.
Right.
And those that's gonna give them a hard time when it all boils down to it, you know. You got let's finish that off in Psalms 58, and then we'll go back to whatever we started.
Psalms 58, verse 2.
Verse 3.
Verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
So meaning that it's in their DNA to go off. When you read that in the NLT, it goes into they were born sinners, right? And they go as soon as they be born, they be speaking lies, meaning that it's just in their DNA. It doesn't mean that 2-3 months, we say this all the time, 2-3 months old out the womb they already speaking. No, is they just can't help it to be a demon. You know, we're referring to the Edomites, right? The so-called white man, right? You got it.
This verse,
I believe that's it. Go forward. It talks about the adder.
their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear.
Meaning a poisonous snake. Or you could liken that to anything that they do. Mostly you could apply that today to their philosophies, their doctrines, their way of life in general. Right? You thinking it being convenient for you to go to a Wendy's or McDonald's, you know, no, that shit, it ruined you. Matter of fact, remember that dude that did that, was it Super Size Me? That dude ended up dying, I believe. You know?
Shit, there was an article just recently going into how the meat in a lot of these fast food restaurants has a lot of human DNA in it. You know, a lot of parts of, you know, it's not real beef, not real meat.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, it can't be for that cheap shit.
Yeah, exactly. Shit, what they really selling? You know, you make a burger at the house and you compare it to a burger they make at these fast food restaurants, they gonna have an off smell. It's not gonna smell like your average beef.
If they sold you real meat, they would be losing.
Yeah. Exactly.
They would lose money.
That shit lab made meat,
It's
man.
bioengineered. Well, really, when you look at everything that you eat nowadays, with the candy, with the potato chips, it's really you ain't supposed to be indulgent now. Unless, you know, that's why you always look at the ingredients. They be some chips. They have 3 ingredients. It'd be like potatoes, olive oil, and salt. That's probably as best it's gonna get for you. You know.
Shit, you know, animals, man, they're beasts. They don't eat anything. But you feed animals some fast food, they gonna deny that shit. I think I seen a video like a dog. It was
Dog denied McDonald's burger.
You wouldn't even eat that shit. You know, and that animal, they'll eat anything off the ground.
You just remind me of that movie, The Good Burger. How you see the Good Burger got competition with Wild Dog Burger, or there's a burger spot joint
Now
next to the
boarding
Good
at
Burger.
West
And they put all
Oakland.
kinds of
This is a
chemicals
red
in the
line
burger.
train
It
to
gets wide and
Melbourne.
fatter and fatter. It tells you that in the movies that the you know, like the burger place or restaurants, they put a bunch of poisonous stuff in your meats. You know what I'm saying? And there's that movie scene. There's a dog from Waldo Burger. There's I forgot their names, Ken and Kel. There was a dog out there in the alley, and they're trying to feed him. And the dog smelled the the well-built burger, he don't want to eat that.
The doors are closing.
Something's wrong with
Please
that burger.
stand clear of the doors.
I seen something, if I may add, I seen something a long time ago. Basically, it was showing GMO corn and like some natural corn, and it showed they had like a little the camera that you leave it all night and it takes pictures of whatever comes by, and the rats would come by and they would leave the GMO corn, they wouldn't touch it, but they would eat the other one.
Damn, so there's something wrong there.
It's what do we eat, man?
Yeah, so where they put it in there?
Well, you know what it is too though is
The next station
it's a
is
potion.
Embarcadero.
They be it'd be a spell. I remember the elders going into it that that's why when you pass by McDonald's before, like you just smell it and you want to eat it.
Right.
They cooking something up in there. Man.
Yeah, it does smell
Play,
good though.
yeah, play the hormones.
Fries.
Yeah.
French fries, I ain't gonna lie, the French fries was always good, but it never aged.
Right.
It was always, it was always, but once you start realizing, you're like, man, this is death.
It didn't get mold. It didn't get no moldy. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, if your food don't get moldy, then
Exactly. It's not real food.
Yeah, it's not real food.
That shit fuck with your emotion. Like it makes you into a demon, man. Like fuck with your hormones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You start lusty, like you probably have the spirit of lust on you, or you get tired or whatever it may be, or at least you just ain't the same when before or after when you indulge in that type of food.
Right.
You can tell certain spirits have upon you.
Yeah.
Demonic spirits.
Yeah. They say they search and diligent search. He's a mad scientist. So he knows what he knows. He's blessed with the sword, so he can use it more effectively on the sword.
He's blessed with the sword, and what do? He weaponized literally everything. He weaponized shows, social media as a fucking weapon for the CIA.
The woman.
The woman, the kids, literally everything, the air, the water, I don't know if you already fluoride in it. Literally everything is being used as a weapon. It just shows you who Esau Edom is, man. Again, the usual suspect. Who do you blame for all these things? You can't blame us. You can't blame Jake.
We don't own shit.
We don't got the capital. We don't got the resources. We don't got the manpower to make anything fly. Right? Laws being passed because of Esau Edom. Matter of fact, they said that they don't even got to identify a meat being fake anymore. Right? They don't got to disclose nothing. In some of these countries, they don't even. They probably got a third of ingredients than what's approved here in the U.S.
But if you look at the FDA, the administrator, the woman, it's like it's some fat ass Edomite. Some fat ass. She looks like
like she ready to die.
Yeah, she look like her diet. Yeah, look like her diet up, but she's the one that's pushing what's good and what's not good. When you look at her, you look like, man, you gotta put that to death. Like
that's why you go into the book of Sirach, the 10th chapter. He goes in, so as the leader is, so is the people. She's the leader of the food. She's the one that's making the decision, and she looked like she about to roll over. Well, I think everybody under her looking the same way. Everybody is accepting it.
You seen that scarf video China came out with where they said, okay, y'all want all the industry back?
Oh yeah, they had that.
They was all fat there.
I saw that. That was funny. I was gonna slap that in there, but sometimes I be trying to keep the thread serious, but that was funny though. They had the heat wipe with that burger. That was funny. You ain't gonna get nothing done, bro. And another thing, so I wanted to bring out, just like that movie Shark Tank. It's like the show Shark Tank when they go in, how the Americans make all their profit is by having all their shit made in China.
Right.
Have them start making it out here. They're not gonna be making it.
They got what is the minimum wage out here in California? It's like what?
Like $18, $17.
There you go. They can send it over there and get it shit made for a couple dollars. Basically their main cost is probably the shipping.
Well, I mean, when you shipping it as a bundle. There's so much of it, so it makes sense too for them,
shit, America, they make China can make a shoe for America. Let's say a Jordan. China, it'll take like what, $5 to make that Jordan shoe,
Or they say that they make iPhones for $10,
and they sell it to America. What? They sell it for $1,000.
$1,500. iPhone is $10, bro. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, shit. That's why you better hope. You better hope for the kingdom. I don't know why you want to stay here a second long. Shit, the scripture talk about where rest is allowed, where righteousness, is opened up to us. You ain't gotta turn around and worry about your kid getting sick off something that they ate. You ain't gotta keep looking
system, shit he watches on television, shit the industry plants, the fucking what's the name of that Lil Nas X dude. It's not just him, but a lot of people like him. You know,
They're all
they pushing that shit. Yeah.
Who's that dude? Was it Magic Johnson's son? 6 foot something, straight flaming sodomy. Robert De Niro. His son came out as a trans.
A lot of those people in Hollywood, if you look it up, it's like
Wayne Wade, Will Smith. Right? They all fuck.
That's a weapon too.
And when you go into that, when you watch that movie Sinners, that's really what that's going into.
Yeah, I seen that.
You know, what's the name? When you go into that movie, it's pretty much Jake selling himself over to Esau, man, and you know, they pretty much got to give up their life for it.
Yeah, come on this side.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
We're a little bit too, right? This side's more easier, you know. You gonna like
Try to entice you, basically. That's basically America. That's Esau. They try to entice you with the good looking things. Oh, you can have this, you can have that. I could just come on this side, man. You know, indulge in this. That's how they get Jake, man. With the money and all that shit, you know.
You can bring out Ecclesiastes 7 verse 8, and then we'll start wrapping up.
We pass this one.
Unless you brothers got some,
yeah.
We keep going.
Okay, I got some.
You got it.
It says Proverbs 29 verse 2.
The doors are closing.
And it reads,
Please stand clear of the
when the
doors.
righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. You know, you're going into that lesson. You know what I'm saying? Esau is the wicked. You know what I'm saying? Who's to blame for all this madness?
Exactly.
You know, the wicked, which is Esau, starting with the banker families. You know what I'm saying? On them. You know, they're the ones who was the planet. We read on Job. The earth was given to the hands of the wicked.
Scriptures is a lot, man.
Yeah.
The next station is
what are they doing?
Montgomery
They're
Street.
sacrificing their kids onto Moloch.
Yeah.
You know, through that fire, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while since we brought that up.
I was just thinking about it.
Arriving
They might not have
at
sacrificing them by
Montgomery
killing
Street.
them.
Right.
You know, literally gutting them up, but they killing them by giving them over to being a sodomite.
Right.
Yeah, destroy them all.
Yeah, exactly, because you know that's why the scriptures say train them while they're young, and then when they get older, they're not going to depart from it. So it's going to be hard to convince any of them to come back and serve Yahweh Shem. You know, somebody is, you know, set in their mind to do something like that. That was it on that.
This is
Now boarding out Montgomery Street.
Book of
This
Ecclesiastes,
is a
chapter
red
7
line
and
train
verse
to
8.
Millbrae.
Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof.
And that's our stance right there, right? It's better that this captivity is ending, and it's better that Esau Edom is collapsing, right? That he's in the end of his road, right? Better is the end of it than the beginning of it. Imagine us having to start all over,
Right.
right? And having to live this out and having to, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
The doors are
And the
closing.
patient in spirit
Please
is
stand
better than
clear
the
of
proud
the
in
doors.
spirit.
The patient in spirit is representing the elect. You know, those really the nation of Israel, but ultimately the elect, because not all Israel is in that same mind state, right? And the proud in spirit is obviously talking about Esau Edom, right? So it's better to be in the position that we're in the house of mourning, than to be in the house of feasting, right? Enjoying life, not having no cares, living life righteously. Right, but again, it's better that, you know, this, you know, we in the end of it, it was proven that it's prophecy. You know, ultimately
The
going
next
into
station is
Jacob's trouble,
Powell Street.
right? Jacob's trouble, the mark of the beast, and to top it all off, the third war. You know, it's beautiful to see this, you know, see that we're getting ready to see.
Arriving
It's
at
good.
Powell
You
Street.
know, fear number one, the lessons edifying, we end off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash.
Look at the.
All right.
Like it.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.